this is what I got from my most recent pull list. I got these books a couple days ago from the fine folks at Phantom of the Attic. This is issue 89 and 90 of Swamp Thing. These are the lost Rick Veitch stories that would have ended his run had they not canceled 88, which I reviewed previously. Thought was excellent. And this is the second and third part of the four-part miniseries, wrapping up his version of the series. Haven't read these yet. Haven't read any of these books yet. I did look inside. I'm very happy to see that Tom Mandrake penciled both issues. He has a lot of history with the Spectre, has a certain great quality that fits the Swamp Thing ethos, maybe the supernatural ethos, long on the line of John Totleben, Rick Veitch, Steve Bissette. I just think his art is really good here. So I don't even know what's going on here. I haven't read the story, but coloring is wonderful. Rick Veitch is really pushing this. And let's look at the next issue. Let's see what we got here. Beautiful. I guess he's meeting with the source, or the incarnation of the source back then, because I know it's changed a bit. I know they broke the source wall in the Batman Who Laughs, and they've done a bunch of things here. But again, Tom Mandrake is lending his great artistic skills to this. You got John Constantine involved here. This is going to be a lot of fun to read. Next, I got X-Men Elsewhere, and I'm sorry for the glare, but this is the book that's been in a lot of social media, but I'm not on the Abrams Comics Art comp list, so I didn't get a free copy like a lot of people did. This is the series that John Byrne was doing as fan fiction, and it's being collected by Abrams Comics Art in 3-ish volumes, and he talks about retooling, revamping it, and this is, for the history, you probably all know, but this is the version of the X-Men he would have had after Jean Grey. Instead of being killed when they had the Battle of the Moon with the Sheer Empire, this is what would have happened in his mind. John Byrne is underrated in a lot of ways as far as a writer, not as an artist, but as a plotter, a writer. I thought he was always very good. His Fantastic Four run is seminal. And as one video commented about this book, they chose to use matte paper, which I think is an excellent choice. I think that it makes the colors look more like they did back in the day, and they did a really nice job getting the coloring very similar to what it was back in the 80s. And also what I like is that since this is a 3-volume set and it's not canon, he can do anything he wants. So not only is it an X-Men story, but you got the Sentinels, you got Spider-Man, you got the Avengers, you got the Fantastic Four, you have MODOK. You just have everything in here that you can have because it's non-canon. Really nice production values, really great, and thanks to Chris Ryall for getting this to be done, seen into existence. I'm glad that Abrams Comics Art got it and Marvel didn't get it, because I think Abrams Comics Art, I think some of the work they produce, I can take some of it, I can leave some of it, but their books are always of high quality, and that's all you can really ask for. So this is going to be a lot of fun to read. This is a little bit of nostalgia. Again, I don't really read superheroes, but I think something done by John Byrne probably is worth checking out, at least the first volume. Next, I got The Depressed Hunter, the most recent Mobius release. This came out the last week of June by Dark Horse. I have a few of these, the more recent ones, and I have to say that this is a really beautiful book. This is the closest thing to a BD, a French graphic novel, that I've seen an American publisher put. The size is great. It's very slim. It's a very slim story. It's only 50 some odd pages, and then there's some bonus art. And then to benefit the reader, there is also, towards the end, if I can find it, every page has some commentary by the translator as far as what do they refer to, because there's a lot of things that are referred to here that are French and they kind of have to be explained to Americans. Maybe puns, words that sound like a one word but really mean another, that kind of thing. So it does that. Also, like I said, some bonus art, some color bonus art, like the original covers and the ideas for the covers. This book is really well made. I mean, all the Dark Horse books lately have been good, and the Mobius ones have been good, but this is the one that I really like. I like this larger size as opposed to the major, which wasn't small, but this is larger. I like the thinness of it. The art reproduction, the paper quality is outstanding. Dark Horse is really doing a great job with this. And what I liked was that this was solicited for June 2026, and it actually published June 2026. Because a lot of times with these Mobius books, they get solicited for a date and then they get pushed back, probably because we're living in crazy times. But this is a really lovely book. I'm really looking forward to reading this. Next, I got JLA Avengers 1. This is the facsimile. And I've heard about this forever. Again, don't read superheroes, but I've heard about this forever. Kurt Busiek was always a good writer. This is George Perez when he's still in top form. My oldest son actually picked up the original miniseries a couple of years ago. And this is similar as far as a perfect binding. The original series had a cardstock cover. This has like a hard, maybe a thinner cover, but not as stiff. The paper here is slick paper, is thinner. The paper on the original is thicker paper. But in a way, because of the fact that this is thinner paper and the cardstock cover isn't as thick, it's easier, in my opinion, to open and just read this. Again, I've not read this. I've heard a lot about it. And you can tell that Marvel is really desperate for some sales because they've been holding on to republishing this forever and a day because, you know, they're Marvel and Marvel always acts like they're King Comics and they don't want to like play with other publishers while DC is like doing crossovers with anybody that has an interesting idea. So I'm glad this got to see the light of day. Looking forward to the rest of the series, and I think it's a crime that this wasn't published before because the fans have all wanted to see this. But, you know, Marvel's got to be Marvel until the sales come in and they realize maybe they got to like bend the knee a little bit. Next, I got The Voyage of Sinbad by Richard Corbin and Jan Strawn. This is part of the books by Richard Corbin that are being remastered and redone by Dark Horse. I've only gotten one of these. I like Richard Corbin, but I didn't really want to be committed to get the whole Den series. And this is the cover, slick paper. On the book itself is the same image, but in matte form. This is really lovely. But when I saw it solicited and I said, oh, Voyage of Sinbad by Richard Corbin, I'm like, marriage made in heaven, in my opinion. It's got introductions by Jan Strawn. It's got introductions by Guillermo del Toro. And it's got an introduction by Harlan Ellison from 1979. And one other one by Maurice Horn, famous science fiction writer as well. So these books are all tremendously well done. I mean, the production values, the coloring, the paper, everything is done so well. I'm really impressed with Dark Horse's leaps and improvement in technology as far as printing these books over the last 2-3 years. These images in the video don't do it justice. When you see it live is when you'll really appreciate just how good this is. So I'm really looking forward to this. I think, as I said, I think these two doing The Last Voyage of Sinbad is a perfect fit. And lastly, and let me raise this up a little bit, I got Space Hawk by Basil Wolverton. This is a book that was originally printed by Fantagraphics in 2012, and it was republished in February of 2026. This collects every Space Hawk adventure. What I like is that it's an oversized book. Just for comparison, this is the copy of a regular comic, the size. This is like a Marvel Treasury edition, but more like a little bit bigger. Like Fantagraphics tends to do like their take on omnibuses and collections, but when you compare them to Marvels, they're always a little taller, a little wider. Um, nice, nice, soft cover here. Feels very substantial. But the one thing that I will, there's an introduction by Wolverton's son. But there's one thing I will say. I have quite a few of these stories from the PS art books that were printed. One was printed in 2025 and one was printed in 2023 from the same source material. And I think they did a good job with those, but this is just so much better. It's cleaner. This looks like it was really revamped to look like it just came off the newsstands. I would say the PSA art books look like a really good original copy, if that makes any sense. These are really clean. I mean, whoever did this work really knocked it out of the park. The paper quality, I like this matte paper. PS art books also use that, but I really like this matte paper. It's a great choice. I mean, they just really cleaned this up. This is almost 90 years old, but it's really quite good. And not to knock the PS art books, because they do have other Wolverine stories like Meteor Man and Space Patrol and some other stuff that he did in the 50s. But this stuff is really great. And I really like Space Hawk. I think it's insane. The art is great. Wolverine was just creating this, creating a universe. This is really good. If you've ever been interested in reading Space Hawk or you've read some of the stories, I really recommend this collection, especially since this is a Fantagraphics Underground edition, which means maybe there's 1,000, 2,000 copies published. This is not a lot, so these will not last long. And this reprint took 14 years to come. So get it while you can. And that's really it. Not getting a lot more comics. I'm getting less comics, but I'm getting like bigger comics. So I think I'm spending more on comics than before. But I'm trying to be selective as far as the new stuff I read. Really be careful as far as what quality I'm reading. I just have a lot of books to read, and I'm not going to spend time reading stuff that I think might be mediocre. I'm just going to try to read the stuff that I'm pretty confident is really good stuff. Can't Go Wrong with Mobius, Corbin, JLA Avengers, Basil Wolverton, John Byrne, Rick Veitch, and company. I mean, this is like a murderer's row of talent. So anyway, let me know if you have any thoughts on these books. Again, I haven't really read them, but I'm going to start reading them this week. Thank you very much for your time.